guys, welcome to another recap of Dancing with the Stars. Last week Michael Bolton was cut, thank God. Alright, so tonight was story night, and they were encouraged to use props. They wanted to be, interesting. So the pros started off the show with a demonstration dance of the three dances that they're doing this week. They did, I believe, a waltz, a samba, and a foxtrot. Alright, so Dimitri, Jonathan, and Kim were the three of the pros in the dance. Plus they had three new ones, two girls and a guy. They were these long Russian names. I'm not even going to attempt it. I haven't seen them before, or maybe I have, and they just didn't say their names. Alright, so they started off the show with Jennifer Grey and Derek doing a samba. Their story was he's the student and she's the naughty teacher. So it kind of had a corny start, which was kind of slow, and the dance really made up for it, though. I thought they had some difficult choreography in there. They had samba rolls. They had one minor slip-up where the judges, I think, were a little bit harsh on them. They ended up with a 24. That seems to be their popular score. Alright, Florence and Corky were up next with their waltz. Their story was that she played Maria in The Sound of Music on stage, so it was a whole Maria and the Captain thing. They got a thundering standing ovation at the end of theirs because of the story. But unfortunately, the dance did not live up to the story. It was kind of disjointed. It was Susan Lucci choreography. I thought the judges were kind, and they gave her a 20. Kurt and Anna were up next with their foxtrot. Their whole story was, oh, let's turn a bad day into a good day. A lot of these stories were really lame and pretty much had nothing to do with the celebrities, in my opinion. All right, he's trying. He really is. You could see that he's trying, but he is just not in touch with his body. He is not graceful at all. And they got a standing ovation as well. Did they put a sign up in the ballroom or something where they flashed like standing ovation for everybody now? Because it seemed like there was an awful lot of standing ovations given out tonight for no good reason. All right, Brooke, she was like, "Is this this is the highest score of the night? Hello, were you paying attention, or were you looking at yourself in the mirror for the first number? Because I got a 24 and Kurt only got a 23. So Margaret and Louie were up next with their samba, and her story was expressing pride, happiness, and joy, and coming out as me. It's not much of a story. I mean, they came out and danced. I didn't get the story at all. They started out pretty strong. I mean, she was out of the gate pretty strong, but then all of a sudden, she completely fell apart. It was bad. And coupled with not really having much of a story, so they ended up with an 18. Audrina and Tony were up next with their waltz, and his story, well, their story was he was a Marine coming home. It was okay. I mean, I thought the judges were overly kind. She obviously has a bit of skills in dancing, so you think they'd be grading her on a curve. She ended up with a 26. And yes, Tony did get his legs waxed last week, and he had some major hair on his legs. He said it didn't hurt that much. I think he's proud. All right, Bristol and Mark were up next with a foxtrot. Mark's a bum, and she notices him. See, I just don't get these stories. She was back to her deer in the headlights phase, unfortunately. I guess you take 2 steps ahead, you fall 1 step back. Well, emotionally, she fell back to deer in the headlights. I thought the dancing was actually pretty good for her, though, because I thought it was good. I mean, even though it was Susan Lucci choreography, she doesn't have any dance experience. She doesn't have any experience being in the spotlight for real. I mean, she was kind of thrown into the spotlight by her whole family situation, but what was with Mark? He just couldn't stop kissing her. He was kissing her on the cheek, on the forehead, all over her face. She ended up with a 19. All right, Brandy and Max up next with their samba. They totally channeled The Bodyguard, Kevin Costner and Whitney Houston, that movie. They were one of the only couples that didn't get a standing ovation. It was kind of weird. I wonder why. Is it because the audience isn't buying that, oh, I'm not a bitch, I'm not a bitch. I think you can't really hide that. All right, so she had a little bit of improvement from last week, but you know what? Last week wasn't that spectacular either, and neither was this week. So they ended up with a 24. Kyle and Lacey up next with their waltz. They were falling in love in a coffee shop. And she was a weird waitress with this weird bra top on. And apron and pants. It looked like she came to work and she forgot to put on a shirt. It was just really distracting. He's improving slightly dance-wise, but he's still relying on his personality and performance. They ended up with a 23. A lot of the celebrity scores were just like, right in the middle of the pack. I mean, there's really not any spectacular scores, and there's not any horrendous scores this week. The Situation was up next with Karina. They had a Foxtrot. She's a scientist, and she's got a time machine, and she's going to put him in there. All right, it was a complete train wreck. That's all you got to know. The judges were practically high because they ended up giving him a 20. I mean, Michael Bolton danced better than he did, and Michael Bolton got a 3. So this was just ridiculous. All right, Rick and Cheryl closed the show with their Samba. His team lost the big game, so he was all depressed. I didn't get the story on this, but I thought the dancing was pretty darn great. He did resort to opening up his shirt, though, but if you got it, flaunt it. I'm surprised the Situation didn't try and throw that in there because it might have helped him. They ended up with a 24. All right, tomorrow night's show for the results, I'm hoping it's going to be the Situation. But they're going to have Neyo as guest artist. Susan Boyle was supposed to be there, but she's sick. So who do they get? Why, Michael Bolton, because he's not doing anything else. So till tomorrow, much love.